As we predicted during yesterday's show, your Ohio State Buckeyes are the number 2 team in the land in this week's college football playoff rankings. There's a small margin between the number 2 team, Ohio State, and number 3 team, the team up north. What is separating the two schools in the eyes of the committee? We'll discuss that next today on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Wednesday, November 9th in the year 2022, and this episode of Locked on Buckeyes is brought to you by Sling TV. Don't miss this week's matchup between your Ohio State Buckeyes and the Indiana Hoosiers right here on Sling. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. During today's episode, we will break down what is going on with the Ohio State's offense and our weekly stock report as we go through 3 things that stock has gone up on and 3 things that the stock has gone down on. But before we get to any of that, the college football playoff rankings for this week were released last night on the worldwide leader, and your Ohio State Buckeyes are the number 2 team in the land. Here's a look on the YouTube. For those of you watching on YouTube, you get a graphic this week trying to spice things up on the show. Here are the updated rankings, the top 25 teams in the land. As you see quickly with a quick glance, there are not many teams in the Big Ten Football Conference in the top 25 right now. Number 21, Illinois. The number 14 team in the country, the Penn State and Indy Lions. The number 3 team, the team up north. And then the number 2 team, your Ohio State Buckeyes. Another thing that sticks out, there are 5 teams from the Southeastern Conference in the top 11 in this poll. Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama. Not sure how they're in the top 10, but they are. And then also the Ole Miss Rebels. Top 6 right here for you. A little bit closer, more visible graphic for those of you watching right now. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, the team up north. Number 4, TCU. 5, Tennessee. 6, Oregon. I thought, we discussed it yesterday, that Tennessee would get more love from the committee, especially based on how they have played so far. Didn't look the best against Georgia, but Georgia's really, really good. 4 undefeated teams in the top 4 in the polls. Tennessee, the highest ranked 1-loss team, and then the Oregon Ducks from the Pac-12. When it comes to the top teams, you're splitting hairs when you get to this point in the season, and you have to really decide, how are you going to do this? How are you going to differentiate and decide who 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are, especially 1 through 4, when those 4 schools are undefeated? So the committee looks at your resume, as they will, and I believe you would do the same thing. Strength of record, strength of schedule, your overall record, your matchups and your outcome against similar opponents. Also, they look at stats. Scoring offense, scoring defense. Both Ohio State and the team up north are near the top of the country in both categories. So how in the world did the committee decide Buckeyes 2, Wolverines 3? It's very simple, honestly. It all goes back to your schedule. That's how it was for the committee this year. Ohio State's non-conference, Notre Dame, Arkansas State, and Toledo. The team up north's non-conference, Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn. And you can't use the aspect or the argument, well, the team up north, they played all their non-conference games at home. Ohio State did as well. Ohio State has that home test against a then number 5 team in the country, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Wolverines don't have anything of that caliber to put in that non-conference to lift that weak non-con schedule up. And that's it. That's how the committee got there. And honestly, over the next few years, I do see how Ohio State, in these moments where maybe the Big Ten is down like they are this year, their non-conference, they're playing not just a Power 5 school, a recognizable and a brand you could recognize in college football, which is something that is going to be weighted heavily by the committee. Next year, only one of those brands, but it's Notre Dame. It's on the road. It's a big test, hostile environment. Probably going to be a night game. I'm here for it. After that, the Buckeyes have numerous times where they play big brands in the sport. Some are on the road. In 2025, they play Texas and Washington in the same season. Not many times you get two brands that big in the sport on one school's non-conference slate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. 2024 at Washington, 2025 Texas and Washington. The Buckeyes are also going to host the UConn Huskies as well. But then they also have games against Texas on the road in 26, Alabama, a home and home with them in 27 and 2028, a home and home with Georgia in 2030 and 2031, a home and home with Oregon 2032 and 2033, and then a home and home with Boston College 2035 and 2036. Yes, the scheduling gets far out. That's how it is in college football, collegiate athletics. And you see Ohio State. My guess, as I look at this once again, there's a good chance that Ohio State could add another major brand in the sport in the years when they play Alabama or Georgia or anything down the line. Why? Because of how the playoff is going to be constructed and how they're going to decide who the top ranked teams are. Ohio State, as many of you know, Notre Dame is not what people thought they were going to be prior to the season, but Notre Dame is still is a good football team. Got some things to work on, but they are still a good football team that played really well this past weekend. And Ohio State knows they need more matchups like that in the future. Gene Smith, Ryan Day, the other people that are a part of Ohio State's athletic department and the Ohio State coaching staff, they know they need matchups like that, consistent matchups like that down the road to make sure you are in the running to be toward the top of the CFP. If maybe the Big Ten Conference is down, how do you stay up top? Stronger non-conference schedules fits the billing, and it's the formula for how Ohio State is 2 and the team up north is number 3. One more time, a good look at it. The top 6 in the sport right now, according to the College Football Playoff Committee: 1 Georgia, 2 Ohio State, 3 the team up north, 4 TCU, 5 Tennessee, and number 6 the Oregon Ducks. Ohio State's offense needs to fix some things if they want to continue to be at the top in this number 2 spot or even move up to number 1. What are some things they need to fix right now going forward? We'll discuss them next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode of Locked on Buckeyes is brought to you by SimpliSafe. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you'll want to listen up. Right now, Locked on Buckeyes listeners can order the number 1 rated SimpliSafe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you don't want to miss it. Here are a few reasons why I love it. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify that the threat is real, so you can get priority police response. 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 per day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. With the top-rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust the settings. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. This episode is also brought to you by Ridiculously Good Salsa. It really is ridiculously good. We let our salsa fans tell our story, and this is what they say about ridiculously good salsa. I eat this salsa by the spoonful. My husband grabs a grocery bag and crushes the high heat. I come to the market just for ridiculously good salsa. It's the perfect tailgate food, and my favorite, I just want to drink it. There is a delicious flavor for everyone. Mellow, mild garden goodness, no heat or spice, happy medium, the sweet spot of salsa, and our most popular flavor. And then there's high heat for those who like spice and flavor, but with a late hit. Just try it. We are a locally owned business in Westerville, and we would love to share our salsa with you. Grab some ridiculously good salsa at Whole Foods in Columbus, Cleveland, the Hills Market in Worthington, Whelan's Market, the Butcher and Grocer, Rit Burger Market at Buckeye Lake, and the Great Gouda in Delaware. Or order online at r.goodsalsa.com. That's r.goodsalsa.com. Thanks for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen of the day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Locked On Buckeyes and Locked On Sports Today are available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcast. Ohio State offense has some issues. They're fixable. They might be missing a key piece of the offense that could fix a lot of the things that are wrong with the offense right now. Not sure when that piece might come in. But as Ohio State, you look at their schedule over the next few weeks, there is the game against Indiana at home, a road test against Maryland, and then at home, the biggest game of the year in the regular season against the team up north. The Buckeyes they have the fortunate ability to fix some things over the next couple weeks against some lesser opponents, one of them being really bad in Indiana, prior to the game against the Wolverines. So what does Ohio State need to fix? We talked about some of them, but I think one of them is really, really easy. You can't fix it. Hopefully, the team gets healthy. Injuries are a problem right now for Ohio State. You have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who has been out most of the year due to a hamstring injury. I heard via Zach Smith on Minister Sports. I got to pop in a little bit on his show on Tuesday. He said he has heard, and I heard from him on that show, that Njigba is looking like he might be back for the Maryland game on a pitch count and then be back at full go for the game against the team up north. That's really a TBD, to be determined type of deal. I would not rush him back at all. I have shared my thoughts about Njigba and the injury, but I'll get more nitty-gritty with that possibly later in the week. But injuries are an issue on the offense specifically. Matt Jones is nursing an injured foot. Mayan Williams is not healthy, but he featured back. With Trevion Henderson being out as well, you got Njigba, starting receiver. You have Henderson, your starting running back. You have Matt Jones, your starting right guard. Injuries at all those positions with pivotal players. It's really, really been hurting. It's been hurting the team a lot this year. Get healthy. That's one thing going on with the offense that they can't really get over. Like they have no control over the body, the human body, and how it responds to playing the game of football. They don't. You can repair it, you can try to condition it, but you have no idea how those constant car collisions on a football field are going to react and how the body will react to them. Also, I'm not going to be someone that's going to say this team isn't tough. I'm not going that far, but your toughness is in question when you are going up against teams where you know it's man on man, very disciplined teams. Remember, Northwestern, high academic school, high academic standard. You know the guys on the football field are going to be disciplined and fundamentally sound football players. In a game against Northwestern, followed up by games against Penn State and Iowa, you're starting to see rumblings of things we heard last year. Is this team conditioned to go deep into the playoff? Is this team conditioned to go up against teams that are really, really physical and fundamentally sound? Are they conditioned for that? Also, I do realize winning in this sport is hard. Being undefeated at this point of the season is hard. So I get all of those things. But there are people out there, and I'm trying not to jump on that train just yet, But you got to realize this team has issues, and I wonder if their toughness and if their desire sometimes. I never thought I would say that. Desire is one thing that people are going to question. Also, with this offense, who a week ago was able to get anything going? And not really anybody to pass the game, but outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., did any receiver flash? No. Emeka Egbuka and Julian Fleming are really, really, really good receivers. And to this point in the season, I never would have thought I would have said that Njigba is needed for this offense and this passing attack to be successful. And I'm not just saying that because it was Northwestern. I have seen over the past few weeks things happening where I'm thinking, how would Njigba be in this offense? How would this offense be benefited from it simply Njigba's presence on the football field? Of course, after he gets loose a little bit, goes to pay dirt, takes a trip there, and scores a couple tutties in the football game. These are things that come to my mind. Physicality. Honestly, it's also the running game is an issue. Now, I mentioned the injuries. One to Mayan still played. One to Henderson still played. Evan Pryor out for the season. That's drastically hurt this offense when one of your top two guys goes down. But are you developing any of the backs that are back there? Now, granted, Down Haight, a true freshman, is he ready for this moment? Nobody knows. We haven't seen him do anything outside of mop-up duty in 2022. Chip Traynor, the Arizona State transfer running back that's not playing, well, that was playing linebacker at Ohio State, that went back to running back once there was an injury. Okay, when are we going to see him? Because honestly, in my mind, I thought last week was the time that Chip Traynor would make his debut at Ohio State at running back. We heard his teams talk about, man, ain't nobody on this team faster than him. He got them wheels. He's a burner on the football field. Hey, let's see it. Let's see it. That all came out when it was announced that Chip Traynor would occasionally be back there for kick returns. The team and the players rant and raved about his skill set and his speed. Let's see it. He's a beefier running back than he was at Arizona State, which will be beneficial at times. Running between the tackles, tackle to tackle. Hey, get in there, buddy. Get in there. Now, if you got the speed, you can maybe run inside and outside and be very, very helpful for the Ohio State offense. But we have to see it. The running game is an issue. Njigba's injury, Henderson's injury, Williams' injury, Matt Jones' injury. Those are issues. Got to work on guys being able to get open outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. And honestly, one more thing very quickly. Play Matt Rossi more. I called for it last year, 12 personnel with Matt Rossi, and then Jeremy Ruckert worked very, very, very well. Sometimes you would see it be Ruckert and Stover a little bit, but it worked well. I don't know why last week we didn't see 12 personnel more, especially with the conditions of the game. Now, some of y'all say we did see 12 or maybe 20. I would even call it 22. Put Ross back there, traditional fullback, have a halfback or running back in Mayan Williams, Josh Fryer, and then Stover. Make that 22 personnel. Fryer wearing 41, not a traditional offensive lineman number, and make that thing roll. Hey, most things I would love to see, but the offense has some issues, but they can be fixed. Except for the injuries. We have no control over the injuries and how bodies respond. Some of these things can be fixed, and ultimately, the optimistic side of me believes they will be. Stock up, stock down. The weekly stock report is coming up next, and trust me, we'll talk about the Ohio State offense in this week's stock report right here on Locked on Buckeyes. Can we pause the pod for a second? Okay, we're paused. Great, because you got to try this. I'm talking about Built Bar's new reimagined flavors. Cookie dough topper, coconut brownie bar, and coconut brownie topper. While chocolate peppermint granola, white chocolate peppermint granola, it's Built's take on the granola bar, so it's more filling and still insanely tasty. And candy cane brownie puff. Built puffs are like biting into the universe's delicious cloud. First off, for anyone who hasn't tried Built Bars before, they're literally the best tasting protein bars ever built. They're revolutionizing nutrition as we know it with 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, and shockingly low sugar and calories, 130 calories to be exact. Just sink your teeth into that first bite and it'll change your life forever. I'm not kidding. There will be a time before you tried these new built flavors. How can you save money on this deliciously amazing treat? By going to built.com and using the friendly promo code LOCKEDON15. That's LOCKEDON15. It's all one word, and you will get 15% off your next order. Once again, go to built.com and use that friendly promo code LOCKEDON15 and to get 15% off at built.com. Stock up, stock down. We do it every week. It's that time of week once again. I mentioned the Ohio State offense will be featured in this segment, so here we go. Stock up on my guy, Tommy Eichenberg. Not going offense first this time, Tommy Eichenberg. And the time of the defense looked like it was having shades and showing signs of the defense in 2021. Eichenberg once again has 80-plus tackles on the season. Going to be the first time in a while. The Buckeyes have had back-to-back 100-yard tackle guys in one season and back-to-back seasons. And Eichenberg just continues to ball out, man. I believe he had 10-plus tackles in this game. He continues to be a force, and I would not be shocked if he wins a postseason award for his play in 2022. Stock up on Mayan Williams. Injuries, O-line blocking issues, all of the things go into effect in this game. And Mayan Williams, even though he had a slow start and wasn't always doing the best Mayan Williams running the ball that we have seen this year, Mayan Williams found the way to, in the red zone in short yardage, behind a block from Mitch Rossi, get into the end zone. Then he bounces a run to the outside, and he gets in the end zone there, goes up on the hill in Northwestern Stadium, does a little snow angel to celebrate that touchdown. Stock up on Mayan Williams. This one might surprise you, but I got to give credit to where credit is due. Stock up on Northwestern for cutting the grass low. Now, many of you might say, Jay, what are you talking about? Well, Northwestern, there is a track record, or some say, that they are known for not cutting the grass and having the grass be a little bit longer to interfere with the opposing team's offense and how just the opposing team as a whole and how successful they can be in that matchup. We have heard sometimes in the NBA, it used to come up, the Boston Celtics, they used to not turn on the AC in June during the NBA championship and NBA finals when they would play the Lakers and host the Lakers. Most recently, the San Antonio Spurs, they claim there was no AC in the arena one year when LeBron James went down with the cramp. I don't know all the ins and outs about how teams and their facilities and their behind closed doors groups and team members that are part of organizations, what they do, but I got to give Northwestern credit. The grass was not high. The grass was cut pretty low, and that was not going to be a reason why people could say Ohio State struggled, and here's why it was because of the high grass. No, that was not it. Northwestern, you got it right. Stock up on you for cutting the grass the way the grass should be cut. Stock down to the run game. That was unacceptable. O-line blocking, receiver blocking, running back, can't say backs, running back and Mayan Williams using a vision and not dancing in the backfield, not acceptable. Stock down on the run game. Going to move here very quickly. Stock down to the coaching, man. What was going on? I in the moment, I am thinking one on defense, go to a 4-3, not a 4-2. You know you're going to run the ball, bring in Cody Simon, great. Okay, here on the defensive line, why do you not have JT Tuimoloau, Zach Harrison, and Mike Hall playing more? It's clear Teron Vincent and Mike Hall are the best D tackles at Ohio State, and Zach Harrison and Jalen, government name, Tuimoloau, are the best D ends at Ohio State. Not sure why the snap counts are the way they are and how they're broken down that way, but it needs to be fixed. Clearly needs to be fixed. Stock down on the coaching offensively. I mentioned 12 personnel, 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends, 1 back, 2 tight ends. That's one quick thing, easy fix I thought we would have seen. Did not see it. Just coaching overall, just situationally in that game, a lot seemed wrong. And then stock down on team intensity Now, I did also hear via a podcast from people that were there at the stadium covering the game. The pregame atmosphere was weird. Northwestern didn't come out on the field until 45 minutes prior to kickoff, that there was no music while Ohio State was out there playing. They really did a good job of dulling down the atmosphere, which really, I do believe, affected and impacted the Buckeyes. But I don't care about the music when Northwestern comes out or not. I don't care. Nobody should. You're Ohio State. You should come out. You're playing football in college at the highest level. Come out intense. Act like you want to be there. Those are things we expect. Stock down on the lack of team intensity during this game. We're out of here on a Wednesday, a hump day edition of Locked on Buckeyes. Looking to have a crossover coming up on Thursday's show. Hoping to have John Garcia Jr. On this week as well. Trying to get some recruiting. Might talk about a guest list and some things coming up for the Team Up North game, the final week of Ohio State's regular season. You never know what's going to come here on Locked on Buckeyes. Guys, follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. Send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Thanks for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked on Sports Today podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked on can provide. Locked on Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcast.